A warm welcome to all of you. Today we are discussing about nervous system part 5. Let us begin. Reflexes. All reflexes are involuntary in action. These reflexes initiated by some stimulus. Yes, we already learned what is stimulus, right? A stimulus is any agent or an environmental change which initiates a response in the body. Can you give some examples of stimulus? Yes, mechanical stimulus, chemical stimulus, thermal stimulus, electrical stimulus, etc. Yes, you can say touch, prick, pressure, heat, cold, right? Then, mainly self-protective due to environment. Reflexes are self-protective due to environment. Then, commands originate mostly in the spinal cord and autonomic nervous system. All reflexes, commands originate mostly in the spinal cord and autonomic nervous system and few in the brain. Then these reflexes always involve muscles and glands. Reflexes always involves muscles and glands. Types of reflexes. First one, natural reflex or inborn reflex. Natural reflex is one in which no previous experience or learning is required. Some examples are knee-jerk, peristaltic reflex, salivation, swallowing, coughing, sneezing, blinking, etc. These reflexes are inborn and that inherited from parents. There is no learning experience required. The other type of reflex, that is conditioned reflex or acquired reflex. A conditioned reflex is an involuntary, spontaneous, automatic response brought about due to previously learned experience. Most of the daily habits and acts are conditioned reflexes. Examples: tie your shoelaces, play on a musical instrument, apply brakes, use keyboard keys. These are some examples of conditioned reflex. Pavlov's experiment on a dog is a very good example of conditioned reflex. He is a famous Russian biologist. He noted that under normal conditions, no animal will secrete saliva in response to the ringing of a bell or to any other sound. But when a bell was repeatedly sounded simultaneously with the presentation of food during an adequate period of training, the dog salivated at the sound of the bell, even when there was no food at the time. Reflex action. What is the definition of reflex action? It is an automatic, quick, immediate, involuntary action in the body brought about by a stimulus. Immediate involuntary action, this point you have to remember, then it is brought about by a stimulus. This is the definition of reflex action. Examples of involuntary actions. What are the examples? Shivering, dilation of the eye pupil, instantaneous withdrawal of hand, flushing of tears, the non-stop beating of the heart. These are some examples of involuntary actions. Complex reflex action. Neurons at different levels of the spinal cord and all the skeletal muscles are involved in this. That's why that is called complex reflex action. While walking dark on a road, if you happen to step on a coiled piece of rope, You suddenly jump or run aside with the fear of a suspected snake. Then in that time, your skeletal muscles are involved and neurons at different levels of spinal cord also involved in reflex action. That's why that is called complex reflex action. Nervous pathways in reflexes. In a simple reflex, impulses are not conducted up and down the spinal cord, but live at the same level at which they enter. Here you can see heat is the stimulus, then sense receptors receive the stimulus, then impulse from the sense receptors is received through the sensory fibers of the dorsal root of the spinal nerve. As it reaches the motor neuron in the spinal cord, a response impulse is immediately flashed like a reflection through motor nerve fiber to the effector. This effector muscle to react. Then this impulses reaches the effector muscle. Then this effector muscle will react. The hands will move back. But in sometimes a third neuron called intermediate or connecting neuron, or we can say association neuron, so many names are there, relay neuron. This neuron is included in the reflex arc lying between the sensory neuron and motor neuron. It is located between the sensory neuron and motor neuron, and also it is in the gray matter of spinal cord. After the instant response, the sensation is also carried to the brain. Yes, after the reflex action, the sensation also carried to the brain through interconnecting longitudinal nerve fiber in the spinal cord. Reflex arc. What is reflex arc? A reflex arc is the shortest route that can be taken by an impulse from a receptor to an effector. The pathway of reflex arc. We can check the pathway of reflex arc. Stimulus, receptor. Stimulus is received by receptor. Then receptor send impulses to the sensory neuron. Then it will impulses reaches the spinal cord or brain. Then from that is motor neuron receive the impulses. Then it will reaches the effector. Then suddenly response will happen. This is the pathway of reflex arc. But in some cases, between sensory neuron and motor neuron, there is an interconnecting neuron will be there, or association neuron will be there. This interconnecting neuron or association neuron or relay neuron is lying between the sensory fibers and motor neuron. After the instantaneous response, the sensation is also carried to the brain via the interconnecting longitudinal nerve fiber that is located in the spinal cord. Differentiate between natural reflexes and conditioned reflexes. Natural reflexes are inborn and there is no previous experience is required. But in conditioned reflexes, it developed by experience or learning. Natural reflexes are directly related to the stimulus, but conditioned reflexes brought about by a condition different from the direct initial stimulus. Natural reflexes similar in all humans or same species, but conditioned reflexes differs in different individuals subject to learning and experience. Revision, exam-based questions and answers we are discussing here. Answer the following. Define conditioned reflex. Conditioned reflex is an involuntary, spontaneous automatic response brought about due to previously learned experience. The next one, define natural reflex. What is the definition of natural reflex? It is one in which no previous experience or learning is required. These reflexes are inborn. Examples of natural reflexes: blinking, coughing, sneezing, salivation, peristalsis, swallowing. Yes, these are examples of natural reflexes. Then we can write knee jerk, closing of the eyelid, withdrawal of the hand. So many examples are there. The next one, define reflex action. What is the definition of reflex action? Reflex action is an automatic, quick, or immediate involuntary action in the body brought about by a stimulus. The next question, differentiate between natural reflex and conditioned reflex. The earlier slide we already discussed that. Yes, you can go through that and find out the answer. Thank you, children. Have a good day. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. If you like my videos, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.